Hello, this is Archie Dunlop with Talking Astrology with Archie on Thursday, April the 13th, 2023. When I was 17, I spent 3 weeks working in a factory that made conveyor belts. And one of the workers there was, according to him, a former SS officer, kind of showing my age there, that I was able to meet someone who claimed to be a former SS officer. Yeah, he said he learnt English with a dictionary. And he always tried to look good when he came to work. He always wore a tie with his boiler suit. And he was very proud of the fact that he was a former SS officer. And he said that, really Britain had nothing to worry about if it lost the war. The Germans would have come, they would have hanged Churchill and Bomber Harris, and everything would have been fine. Bomber Harris. Bomber Harris was the man responsible for the bombing of Germany, at least from an English perspective, from a British perspective. And his birthday would be today. He was born on April the 13th, 1892, and I'm going to look at his chart. I'm also going to point out that today is actually quite nasty. If you look at what happened in the 20th century on April the 13th, some really bad things happened. So I want to just show you what kind of stuff took place today. So let's have a look. So I don't know whether you can read this. This is from Wikipedia, and so I've picked some things going on April the 13th. So let's see. Let's give you an example. So 1919, the British massacred a lot of people in Amritsar in India. 1919, peak of the British Empire. The British were really obnoxious, and General Dyer, according to this, he killed between 379 and 1,000 unarmed demonstrators. And that massacre really started in some respects the end. It was the beginning of the end, perhaps, of the British in India. It was clearly not possible to sustain it. Then April the 13th, 1943, World War II, the discovery of mass graves of Polish prisoners of war killed by Soviet forces in the Katyn Forest massacre. Then April the 13th, 1945, World War II, German troops kill more than 1,000 political and military prisoners in Gardelegen, Germany. April the 13th, 1948, in an ambush, 78 Jewish doctors, nurses and medical students from Hadassah Hospital and a British soldier are massacred by Arabs in Sheikh Jarrah. This event came to be known as the Hadassah Medical Convoy Massacre. April the 13th, 1970, no one got killed, but on that day, the 13th, Apollo 13, an oxygen tank aboard the Apollo 13 service module explodes, putting the crew in great danger and causing major damage to the Apollo command and service module. April the 13th, 1972, the beginning of the Battle of An Loc, one of the later battles of the Vietnam War. The South Vietnamese did win, but right at the end of this battle, an American general was actually killed. April the 13th, 1975, an attack by the Phalangist resistance kills 26 militia members of the Popular Front for the Liberation of Palestine, marking the start of the 15-year Lebanese Civil War. April the 13th, 1976, 40 workers die in an explosion at the Lapua ammunition factory, the deadliest accidental disaster in modern history in Finland. April the 13th, 1996, 2 women and 4 children are killed after Israeli helicopter fired rockets in an ambulance in Mansouri, Lebanon. And finally, not in the 20th century or 21st century, April the 13th, 2017, the US drops the largest ever non-nuclear weapon on Nangarhar province, Afghanistan. I mean, I'm assuming that's some kind of thermobaric device. So what I'm trying to show you is that, yeah, April the 13th is bad. Bad things have happened. So be careful. And, you know, see what happens in the world. There could be an event today which really is quite horrific, at least in terms of past form. By the way, this has got not necessarily anything to do with astrology. I'm just looking at April the 13th and what it perhaps represents. And really, Arthur Harris perhaps represents April the 13th. He is perhaps a personification of April the 13th. You know, it was him who, you know, he said in the war, he said, you know, you reap the wind, you sow the wind, you reap the whirlwind, to justify the British bombing of German cities. And he said, you know, when he was asked, you know, is there any evidence that bombing will work? And he said, well, we don't know because we never tried it. And so he was really into his bombing campaign, which was, of course, very controversial. So let's have a quick look at Arthur Harris's horoscope. Here we go, Arthur Harris. Now, Arthur Harris was an Aries. That makes sense. The, you know, bombing, massive action. Okay, that's not after. Yeah, there we are. There is his sun in Aries, and he also had the moon in Scorpio. And the moon in Scorpio is pretty vindictive. You know, he wanted to, you know, really destroy Germany, bomb cities, kill civilians. It didn't matter. And he had the moon in Scorpio conjunct Uranus. And I mean, I think that is a perfect symbolism for someone vindictively wanting to blow up lots of people and not caring who they are. And this was opposition Mercury. You know, he was quite open about it. That's when he gave his speeches, saying on film, saying, sow the wind, reap the whirlwind. You know, the Nazis destroyed these cities, so they deserve what they get, even if German civilians had to suffer the cost. So I think that's quite interesting. And he, yeah, as I said, he perhaps personifies this day. So it's a Bomber Harris kind of day. Now, as far as what's happening today, I don't think it's particularly exciting. April the 13th, 2023. We can see the moon is in late Capricorn. In other words, the moon is void of course. The moon is not in a great position. So if you're expecting anything wonderful to happen today, then really don't hold your breath, regardless of your star sign. Still, I have gone through the 12 signs, given my opinion. So Aries, 4 stars. Hard work isn't enough. Taurus, 3 stars. The crows are coming home to roost. Gemini, 4 stars. Perversely, hardship brings happiness. Cancer, 2 stars. You need to assert yourself. Leo, 5 stars. You're at the centre of the wheel. Virgo, 3 stars. Last chance to have some fun. Libra, 4 stars. Your horizons are starting to broaden. Scorpio, 3 stars. It doesn't have to be explained. Sagittarius, 4 stars. You start seeing the light of the day. And the reason I say that is because Jupiter is ruler of Sagittarius, and the sun is starting to pull away from Jupiter. So the combusting influence of the sun is starting to lose its strength as far as Sagittarius is concerned. Capricorn, 4 stars. You've made your point. Aquarius, 4 stars. The world is coming to you. And finally, Pisces, 3 stars, the clouds are clearing. It's a similar thing to what I said to Sagittarius, because Jupiter is the traditional ruler of Pisces, and again the sun is moving away from Jupiter, so things are beginning to clear for Pisces, and there's less muddled thinking. So that's really all I've got to say for the astrology of today. So I'm now going to do my usual I Ching reading. I set up there's it. So I threw the coins 3 times, and the first hexagram I got was 49, revolution. Something is changing in a big way, not just a gradual change. But if you think about it, if you think about the way you are relating to the world, things are not the same. And if a revolution is required, if you've got the necessary strength, then just go for it. You have to do what's necessary. A change in your personal habits, in how you organize your life, your environment, how you relate to other people. All things need to change. But the problem is that revolution changes. It moves to a different hexagram, which is number 28, which is preponderance of the great. And that's why I've got this picture here. It is Atlas carrying the world on his shoulders. You were in a situation where, you might want your revolution, but can you deal with the cost in terms of having to cope with so much? For example, if you want to be an environmental activist, it's a real nightmare. You've got to deal with really evil forces. You've got to deal with people who don't care. You've got to mobilize, and you've only got so many hours in a day, and it's emotionally exhausting. So once you've had your revolution, you've got to ask yourself, can you handle it? Because if you try to do everything on your own, if you try to bear the weight of the world on your shoulders, you're going to break. So you do need to look after yourself, and you mustn't take on too much. So that's all I'm going to say for today, and I will talk to you tomorrow.